owner were shocked by the lease renewal premium on the lease. 1 million for 99 years and 567,000 for 60 years. Okay. Hello everyone, welcome back to Property Zone. I'm Nicholas and next to me is actually Sean.
Hello.
Yeah, recently we came across a shocking news about property owner were shocked by the lease renewal premium on the lease. 1 million for 99 years and 567,000 for 60 years. Okay, so we were curious about what options do you have if the property lease is about to expire. This is the topic we focus today, and also how much premium do you need to pay. So we have Sean here today, and we are going to ask Sean about a few questions that most of the people who own a leasehold property would like to know. Sean, so we would like to see about your opinion. What options are, the first one is, what options Selangor leasehold homeowner has?
I think the news they refer to happens not too long ago, just a couple months, in the area of PJ Old Town. Okay, I think this is quite a familiar place for many who have stayed in PJ before. Okay, thinking about it, some of the owner claims the property may be only worth about 1.1 millions, but when the lease is expiring, you expect to pay close to the amount. I think this is really, really difficult, and also the premium, most of the time you have to come out with cash. All right, so what option do we have if you own a leasehold property? I think there are few things I can break it down to all of us.
Okay.
I think number one, of course, if you have the money, just renew the lease.
Okay.
I think there's option one, but this option may not be available to everyone. Now, the number two is that if you decide to sell it, okay, before the lease expiring is another option. Although the financing part, depending on which the banks may not be granting the full optimal margin to your prospect. There's the things you need to take care of.
Okay.
Of course, number three, if you're in Selangor, the Selangor state government has actually offered options for those of you who are stuck in these challenging situations. You can basically just pay a 5,000 for now. Previously it was 1,000, so now you can pay 5,000, and then you can continue to stay in the place, but you can't sell. All right, not that you can't sell, but if you sell, then you need to pay back whatever you owe to the state government in terms of premium.
All right, so this is the option.
Yeah, so some of them may think, if I renew for another 60 years,
okay,
let's say my outstanding premium is 60,000, but why don't I just pay the 5,000 and pay the remaining 55,000 30 years later, which is much lesser value, right? Because 50,000, 60,000 today and 50,000, 60,000 30, 40 years later. I'm sorry, because the formula is based on the market value of the property.
Okay.
So in future, your market value is higher, you expect to pay more.
I can't imagine for those people who actually inherited from those parents or grandparents. That is actually, I don't think it's a fortune or it's actually a disaster for them. If you tax them, have to pay a premium closely to 1 million. How can they afford?
This in a form of tax, all right? The form of tax, like other countries like Japan, is really burdening them. But in this case, you can inherit it first, all right? Transfer to your name is within the family members. But most of the times, the renewal list will not be as much. But the option 5,000 state government is given to us is, I think it's pretty much an easy option for most of us, right? You pay the 5,000 now. So the thing is, you can continue to stay on. You can't sell during the period, but if you still sell, you just pay back the state government whatever the premium is going to be at the time of selling. So if you sell 30 years later, the premium will be calculated 30 years later. During this period, for example, you want to pass on to the family member, it's okay, but only immediate family members.
Okay.
Yeah.
Only immediate.
Correct.
So, okay. So, the second questions are, What are the calculations like for Selangor and KL?
Yeah, I think calculation.
Or this is only applied to
Because a
Selangor area?
different state is different. I was just going to touch on in Klang Valley lah.
Okay.
The rest, if you want, maybe you can do ChatGPT, DeepSeek, or just the normal Google. So I'm just going to focus in Klang Valley, which are inclusive of KL and Selangor.
Okay.
The news actually come from Selangor. I'm going to start with Selangor first. All right. Easy calculation will be like this. You just use the existing market value. I give you an example. It's 400,000. All right. You times the number of leases you want to renew. Okay. Minus the remaining lease you have.
Okay.
Okay. You want to renew 60 years. Let's say remaining year is 10 years.
10 years.
So you just times 50.
Okay.
Okay. Divided by 400. So I give you a sample calculation. Let's say a property is worth 400,000.
Okay.
Market value is 400,000. And you want to renew, let's say your lease is totally expired. You want to renew it for 60 years. Although I'm not encouraging you to do that, wait until that time, but for easy calculation, 400,000 worth of property, then you times 60 years.
60 years.
So divided by 400. So the premium you got to pay to the state government to renew for 60 years.
60 years.
Okay? It's about 60,000.
Wow, that's a lot.
So option is 5,000 is something like a very viable option. So the other things you can look at it is that rough figures like 400,000, 60 years. Each year renewal is about 1,000.
Okay.
So if you have a property that is worth 800,000, so you get a ballpark figure is about 2,000 a year. So you want to renew extend for 60 years. All right. Then I'm talking about resi. Then how about commercial and industrial? In Selangor is the same. So everything that you need to pay for residential, you just times 3.
Okay, so from residential you times 3 that amount.
Yes.
Okay.
So for example, you want to renew 60 years in the same 400,000 commercial industrial property in Selangor, you expect to pay about 180,000.
Wow, that's crazy. In other words, actually you don't have cash, you don't rich enough.
So 5,000 is the option. So you still inherited something, but you cannot cash out the full value of your inheritance.
Okay.
Until you actually sell it and just pass it back to some form of fortune, pass it back to the state government.
All right. Okay. Okay.
Talk about KL. KL is pretty much the same. The calculation for
That
residential.
means KL also entitled for the 5,000 to
KL
extend the lease.
actually, not that I know of. But
Okay.
I'm talking about the calculation part.
The calculation.
400,000, 60 years, it's about.
Oh, okay.
About
So that means
6,000.
that entitlement for the 5,000 to
So
extend
far,
the
it's
lease
only the state government.
Selangor.
Yeah.
The state government Selangor. All right. Okay.
Previously about 1,000, now it's 5,000. Yeah.
Alright. Should we buy Selangor property? Encourage people buy. If you want to looking for leasehold, you should go for Selangor.
Yeah. Maybe some of the reason people prefer freehold is that maybe you are not the one who renewing the lease, but if your grandchildren are the one inherited, then you might be cursing you.
Don't curse me.
There's still a positive value equity in the value, even you pay the premium.
Yes.
It doesn't matter.
All right. Okay. All right. So shall the owner renew the lease?
Soon as possible.
Yes.
Actually, looking at a different perspective, okay, the option is available there, right? Of course, if you have the cash, I think the option is, if you renew it today, the benefit of your land value actually increase tremendously.
Okay.
Because people who buy a leasehold left with 10, 15 years, and people who buy a leasehold property, there's another 70 years left or 60 years left. It's a whole different thing. Okay, that's number one. Number two, so if you renew it, the land value goes up, shoot up immediately. So the money that you used to pay, I wouldn't term it as expenses that goes down the drain, but rather it's actually an investment to bring up the value to your land. So you see from that way. Less money from your bank account, but more value in your property. So number two, if you decide to sell it, all right, because of the value, land value has increased also, your future prospect would have the option to get the optimal loan margin from the bank.
Okay.
So in other words, you are reaching a wider crowd of your prospect. Therefore, you'll be able to fetch better price.
Okay.
All right, by paying the premium, let's say an X amount, I think the return plus the wider reach of market will be more than the X amount that you pay, multiplying. And number three, if you're looking at the money value, right, on the nominal side, if today you renew your property, because the formula is the market value times the number of years you want to extend. The market value will be based on today.
Okay.
So if you have the option to renew it but you didn't, so either your children or your grandchildren, when they renew it, that would be based on the future market value formula. So that's why you see the PJ account people suddenly 500,000, 600,000, but you want to renew 99 is 1 million. That's why the
One of the factor is also the market value has been increased a lot.
Exactly.
All right. Okay. So the last questions we would like to know. I also heard got leasehold convert to freehold.
Yeah.
How's that possible?
Yeah. Recently, two areas there are leasehold property owners manage to convert, not renew, able
manage.
to convert to freehold. To the resident there, it's like striking a lottery, isn't it? So not only you don't have to pay
The
the renewal premium, all right, and your title from leasehold become a freehold perpetually, all right, and you know, you guess how much the fee?
What the fee?
Yeah,
it means to
just
convert.
Yeah,
I have
it's
no
only
idea.
3,000.
3,000. Much.
So that's why I say it's like striking a lottery.
Okay.
But not every leasehold property can convert. Actually, very few.
Okay.
The recent cases we heard is about Seputeh as well as Sri Petaling.
Okay.
Now Sri Petaling, if you're KL folks, you sure know where is Sri Petaling. No, it's a very vibrant places and it's very close to Bukit Jalil, close to KL City, close to PJ, so on and so forth, and situated on the highway of Max, KL Seremban Highway and Kesas. Now, the reason they are able to convert their so-called leasehold property to freehold is actually goes back dates. Previously, that piece of land is a freehold property.
Okay.
It's a freehold land. So when the master developer came in, if I'm not mistaken, stand to be corrected, Petaling Garden actually undertook the place and convert to a master development in Sri Petaling. So in that case, they actually apply to state government to temporarily convert it to a leasehold title. All right, and so that they can get the land is cheaper for development. Even though when the buyer bought that property 20, 30 years ago, knowing the fact that they are buying a leasehold property, eventually, since the land is original a freehold, so they're able to convert. So if you're buying a property that was alienated from the beginning as a leasehold, don't hold high hope. So that's pretty much what I want to cover about the leasehold renewal thing. But just be aware, right? Paying the premium is one thing, to extend your lease, but the final say has to come from a state authority, whether they will grant or reject application.
Okay. If they actually rejected, can we actually doing some appealing?
Don't think there are cases like this unless the land is earmarked for other developments. All right. And the other thing I'll highlight to you is that what we have heard so far, the leasehold property they involve are only landed. Okay. Some of you may be wondering, what happened to the high rise? You have to understand the history. The high rise or the stratified properties only came in less than 40, 50 years ago. Okay. Right? Previously all landed. So none of them have actually come to
expiring lease.
Yes. So when that times come, probably is another new story.
Probably both of us are not here already.
Eat well, sleep well. So I think we pretty much cover the topic today.
Okay. Yeah? Can you do a summarize on the...
So again, if you are following this, if you are owning a leasehold property in Klang Valley, right, the calculation is, let's say you own a 400,000 market value of the property. You just times the number of years that you want to extend, all right, minus the lease. Let's say you have 60 years you want to renew, right? Use 400,000 times 60, then the formula is divided by 400. So it comes out to 60,000, right? So if you own a 400,000, you want to renew 60 years, each year is about 1,000, simple calculation. And it's commercial or industrial, times 3. The KL calculation is pretty much same as Selangor, right? But if you're Selangor government, the biggest option available to you is that you use the 5,000 to pay, and then your No, you're basically in the system until the time you decide to sell or your children decide to sell. Then you just pay back the premium to the state government to finalize the sales process.
All right, okay. Thank you, Sean, and thanks for tuning in for today's Property Zone. We have covered a lot today. Don't forget to share to your families and also your friends, okay? And don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss us on the next Prop Zone.
All right, see you next time. Bye-bye.